My name is Joseph Mathis, and I am a math major here at St. Edward's University doing a dual degree in biomedical engineering, and I am doing my project on the philosophical debate between transhumanists and bioethicists. So in order to make the video a little bit more understandable, I'm going to define the terms transhumanist and bioethicist. A transhumanist is someone who wants to transform the human condition by enhancing the human intellect and physiology, while a bioethicist is someone who wants to control transhumanist way of thought in a way that isn't harmful to society. My research changed how I originally felt about my topic, because normally I believe that science should have the freedom to take it wherever it wants to go, especially because of how society is nowadays, where it's almost as if we have an agenda against science or those who try to back up anything with science whatsoever. But while doing research for this topic, I saw that this type of science can be detrimental to society, and it can create social issues that could take us back to the 40s and the 60s. Like, there are a lot of social and economic issues that can come from such prosthetics. The social issues would be that people would see those with the prosthetics as somewhat less than, in a sense, because, well, in a way they are less human, but they are less of human. But there's also the stigma that because they do have these new bionics, that they'll be able to function as normal as what a normal body part could, but they cannot. They are still disabled. They aren't able to function physically as well as what we can. And economic issues for this would be that, well, these prosthetics are very expensive. Not everybody can afford them. And the more advanced prosthetics you want, it would cost, well, more and more. So I'm going to go more in depth on the social issues that could come with advanced bionics. So there are multiple outcomes which we could have with bionics. Either they could stay with how they are now, which is very, I guess, rudimentary and archaic, or which will most likely have the most likely outcome would be that they do transform into something to where they have better usage than what our normal limbs would be. Now, this could be a good thing or a bad thing. For those who need to have such bionics, this should be great for them, because yes, he did lose their limb, but they're getting something back that is as good, if not better, than what they had before. But the bad thing about this is that people might willingly want to give up their limbs in order to receive these newer, better body parts. And this could create a problem in society because they do cost a lot of money. They're extremely expensive. So those who could afford to do this, they would see themselves as better, because it would also create a large economic gap between those who can afford it and those who cannot. Those who will afford it, they'll see themselves as better. They'll see themselves as a better type of human than those who cannot. And again, going back, this would be seeing how with the 40s and the 60s of how, especially how race relations were in America at the times, of people thinking that of a certain group of people thinking that they were better than another group because of how they were and where they stood at the food chain during the time. So for this project, I chose to do an Instagram page because personally I know how large the scientific community is in Instagram, and I also know how many people will use Instagram. Instagram is used around the whole world. So if I were to use a form of a medium that could help get my word across, there would be nothing better than with Instagram. So my Instagram page is called Tech Age Philosophy, and the basis of my page is to spread awareness of transhumanism, but also my love of science. And so I have a few posts up right now, but I think my favorite post of all the ones I've done so far would be my latest post about James Young. So James Young, he is a young Englishman who has had his left arm amputated. He was experiencing something that very many people who do have amputations, something called phantom pains, where the limb that they had lost is no longer there, of course, but they still feel the pain of losing that limb. And this caused a very deep depression for him. So, luckily for him, the gaming company Konami, they had released an ad looking for amputees who would be able to help test the prosthetic limb created by De Oliveira Barata in order to help promote their game Metal Gear Solid 4. And the prosthetic that he was given is very advanced, even though it doesn't have as much mobility as what it should because of the features that it has. Like, for one, it has a drone built into the arm that he can control himself, and it also has USB ports into it as well. The arm is built so that the harness is attached to the shoulder, but it stays there, and the arm is removed from the shoulder down, so that he doesn't have to keep taking off the harness. Which, all this is a very, very good design, and it's still a prototype by all means. The problem with it is that, well, one, it is so limited mobility. It can only do a few things, like he can create a fist, he can create a palm, and he can point his fingers, and he can form his hand into a tripod. But it also weighs 20 pounds, so it's very heavy, so he has to take it off every few hours so that he can give his body a rest. Now, this science is like very young, and a lot of it can seem like it's a lot of science fiction, but we are closer to that science fiction than what we actually think we are. So MIT researchers have developed a method of grafting muscle tissues together so that the nerves are now connected. So what they do is they graft the muscle tissue from any part of your body onto where the amputation site is, and then the open muscle tissue is then attached to the prosthetic limb so that it completes the connection. So now you have control of the prosthetic limb through your muscle tissue, and it's like it imitates how your muscle will actually work. So say you were to flex your bicep. When you flex your bicep is flexed, but it stretches your tricep. And normally a prosthetic limb, it wouldn't do that. But this one does. It does imitate the full wide range of movement that your muscles would actually have. So thank you for listening to my project, and if you want to learn more about this, I will put up a link to my Instagram page, and the artist for the amputation for Mr. Young, her information is also on my Instagram page if you'd like to check more of her work out. Thank you.